Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is one ancient midsize pickup truck. This is the 2024 Nissan Frontier Pro-4x, and it rides on a platform that dates back to when I was in high school. We won't get into all the details there, with a proper V6 under the hood, 9-speed automatic back behind it, and it's just the way we used to build pickup trucks. And in this video, I'm gonna see if it's any good off-road. Stay tuned. Yes, gearheads, this is an ancient pickup truck by modern standards, which kind of makes it an anomaly in the market with the 3.8 liter V6 that can be found under the hood, which doesn't really open all that much. This thing really does stand out in a sea of turbocharged 4 cylinders that we're seeing from the likes of Toyota and General Motors. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. 3.8 liter direct injection V6, making standard for the class, 310 horsepower. But what is very interesting to me on this one is the sheer lack of torque in this. 281 pound-feet of torque to the competition's 300 and 400 plus. That is one of the joys of turbocharging a small engine. You get tons of torque almost instantaneously once that turbo spools up. But here you really don't have to worry about that, and we'll get into more of how Nissan works around that really low torque number as we get this thing out on the trails today. It is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission with a shift-on-the-fly 4-wheel drive system, electronic transfer case. That's marketing speak. And then we do have a locking rear diff and an active brake limited slip system. In this one, we do have Bilstein off-road shocks. We've got underbody protection, hill descent control, you know, all the normal things. As we close the hood on this, perhaps this is the best place of any to talk about the age of this pickup truck. Full-size pickup trucks have grown so tremendously that mid-size pickup trucks have grown to fill the void left in the market from somebody who needed that size pickup. That's essentially what we're getting here. Though mid-size pickup trucks have vastly outpaced this vehicle in growth. This platform really does date back to the mid to late 2000s, and it really shows. This is much more compact than some of its competitors. But when we get to off-road dimensions, it's actually quite on par. So while maybe passenger space may lack because of it, off-road ability doesn't exactly. To that end, we have 9.5 inches of ground clearance from the ground to the front differential, 9.8 to that rear. But really, when you're measuring ground clearance, you want that lowest point, and that would be 9.5 inches compared to the GMC Canyon AT4's 9.6 inches. So right there with it. The approach angle of this one, get down low here, is a 32.3 to the AT4's 33.3. But what this has over that AT4 is we actually have an aluminum front skid plate, and we've got some steel underbody skid plates. So yeah, you may touch the nose, but I feel like the nose is more protected as standard. You can option for a front skid on that AT4, but yeah, this is definitely the area in which I would go. Breakover Angle is 19.6 on this compared to the AT4's 20.9. I do feel like this is a much lower, longer truck by the overall feel of it in person. And that kind of plays out with that breakover. Departure is nearly identical, but we're actually better here in this pickup truck at 23 to the AT4's 22.3. And I want to talk about crawl ratios on this. So that AT4 makes over 400 pound-feet of torque, and you would think the measly 200, nearly 300 pound-feet of torque in this one is a major hindrance. And I can tell you, just from the little that I've done off-road in this, the crawl ratio on this absolutely makes up for the pathetic torque number on this. For reference, you have a 42-to-1 crawl ratio on something like the AT4X or the Chevy Colorado ZR2. The crawl ratio in this is an impressive 54.42, and you can feel it instantaneously. We'll talk more about that when we actually get this out on the trails, but the night and day difference of this vehicle when you put it in 4-low is immediately felt. As we come around to the side here, we can talk about, we still get leaf springs back in the back. Toyota has ditched leafs for coil springs back in the back, and that seems to be the way that pickup trucks are going. Leaf springs are kind of dipping out on us. But I do want to go ahead and come up here. We have 17-inch wheels and off-road tires. I appreciate a 17-inch versus some of the 18s, 19s. You can even option 20s on that AT4 I referenced earlier. So we have these Beadlock style wheels that are wrapped in 265/70 R17 Hankook Dynapro AT2 tires. So far, they've done fairly good for me, but you can see they're superly aggressively treaded or anything like that. And you can see those yellow Bilstein shocks hanging out back there. We've got those staggered in the back as well. You can see wheel travel in this one isn't as great as I would anticipate. We've put several vehicles in this spot just to show off the underbody of them, to show off how much they can flex. But you can see right here, get my shadow out of the way, we are definitely in the air because of our lack of wheel travel here. Eric's here to help us out. Yeah, this thing will move. We've definitely got a lot of airtime underneath it. But see, there we've got that Bilstein back there. We do, like I said, have underbody skids on this one. So that's another nice touch. They are steel skids underneath the belly of this, where General Motors doesn't really do until you get to those top trims, the ZR2s and the AT4Xs, especially when they partner with AEV on the Bison editions. That's probably more where you'd want to go for serious off-roading. And then, yes, we get the requisite Pro-4x badging on the tailgate. And I can't talk about this truck and its off-road capabilities without talking about those lava red tow hooks. Hopping in the Frontier, it basically is an old pickup truck that has been modernized. We get a big screen, we get dual zone climate controls. I plan on doing an entirely separate video where I talk about the ins and outs of this, 5 likes, dislikes, whatever the case may be. But some of the things you need to know in this: mechanical gear selector for the 9-speed automatic, a shift on the fly 4-wheel drive system, and a true electronic locking rear diff that I don't think I will really need in this. And we have a camera button that actually says camera on it, which I feel is kind of weird. No icon. You actually have to read, which kind of gets it lost in the grand scheme of things. But as far as the off-road ability of this truck goes, I told you the numbers earlier. And this thing on paper stacks up pretty evenly with the competition from GMC, from Chevy, from Toyota, from Ford on approach angle and departure angle. Departure is really where we've got the best angle on this pickup truck all the way around. But 9.5 inches of ground clearance is right there with the other guys. The breakover is a little bit hairy on this. The approach is about the same, but we've actually got skids underneath. So on paper, this should feel very similar, but if you can kind of tell from looking around me, we've had a little bit of exploratory fun in this before filming this section of it. And I can tell you from experience that where this truck lacks behind, well, that is wheel travel. And this was built in a day when wheel travel wasn't as prominent as it is now. Now we get like 10, 15 inches of wheel travel in some full-size pickup trucks. Whereas here in this mid-size pickup truck, especially in this little Frontier, you don't get a lot of wheel travel, which you saw by where we were posted up earlier filming the intro in this. We really have little articulation when it comes to all four wheels in this. And right here, we're about to see the limits of the old school four-wheel drive system in this. There is no mogul mode like Toyota uses or multi-terrain select. We're about to, I think, test limits of 4 high. Yeah, we get stuck here. And there's no real way to tell this pickup truck you're in off-road mode other than dropping it in neutral and putting it in 4 low. That tells the truck everything from the cameras up front to the 4-corner limited slip, brake actuated limited slip, that, hey, we're off-road, let's do some off-road things. And that also increases that crawl ratio. So this really amplifies the torque that is in it, and it really makes this a completely different vehicle. We are in a situation where I'm gonna go ahead and lock that rear diff so that we get ultimate traction, because again, articulation really isn't the strong suit of this pickup truck, and we'll start moving forward just ever so slightly. And you can see with that locked up rear diff, which the competition from Chevrolet and GMC don't offer until you get into their high-end ZR2 and AT4X trims. And this thing is priced at a $2,000 savings over the GMC AT4. So the fact that we get some serious off-road tech, like a true electronic locking rear diff that you saw the benefits of back there, really speaks volumes to what this pickup truck can do, and why you may want to buy this over the competition from Chevy and GMC. And then we've got, I would say, very strong approach and departure angles, though not the best approach, not the best breakover angle, but generally favorable ground clearance measurements in this, which we're about to test when I spin it around and we go through my favorite little bit of articulation testing. To show off just a little bit what this can do in 4 high versus 4 low, and the fact that 4 high really is just 4-wheel drive traction and 4 low is off-road mode. I'm gonna crawl over some articulation here, really get 1, 2, 3 wheels up in the air, as the case may be, and kind of spin it out a little bit as we kind of lose traction. And you can see, like I said, I'm in 4 high right now, so that just means all 4 wheels are spinning, but it doesn't do a lot to make up for the fact that I've got a wheel in the air here or there. As we come up on this section up here is where we've really found, yeah, like I am wheel pedal down, nothing's happening because I've got 1 front and 1 rear down. I could lock up that rear, but I'm gonna put it in neutral, switch on the fly to 4 low, put it back into drive, which is so much easier than the old Tacoma system. Now we're gonna see exactly what this can do in 4 low with that super low crawl ratio, and all that braking on the corners in this. You can hear the system working at the 4 corners, but it really makes crawling over the situation so much easier. 4 low in this thing really is a game changer and almost negates the need for that locking rear differential. But there are situations, like we found earlier, where you still need that locked up rear end. I put it back in 4 high now, so we're gonna have just a little bit more fun where we can talk about the suspension in this thing. So I was talking about wheel travel earlier and how this is a product of an era that really didn't focus on wheel travel or emphasize wheel travel. And we're about to see exactly what that translates to in real world. You can see it's kind of bouncy, and the monotube shocks on this. They aren't that big. There aren't remote reservoirs on this. They can only do so much. It is old school technology in an era before Baja racing was really as popular as it is now, thanks to things like King of the Hammers and the Ford Raptor. This really is an archaic product that is more tuned for very comfortable on-road driving. We had to drive an hour to get out here, and I can tell you from experience from that drive that this is very capable on the road, but you sacrifice a little off-road when you get out here. But that doesn't keep you from having just a little bit of fun through mud puddles and the like out here. This still is a pickup truck. It is still body on frame. It still has four-wheel drive traction, and you can still get it muddy and have some fun in it too. I mean, there's just so many opportunities to splash and have some fun out here, but you can kind of see exactly the one downside of this pickup truck. So upsides versus I'll go ahead and say it, Chevy and GMC, since they are the ones that most recently tested, and I'm yet to get wheel time behind the new Taco. The electronic locking rear diff is something you won't get until you get into those top trims of ZR2 and AT4X. And the four-wheel low on this gives you a crawl ratio that you won't really see in anything this side of a manual transmission Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Some serious numbers here that cannot be ignored, which kind of overwrite the low torque on this and some of the off-road dimensions of this. Some downsides of this, well, it's old. The suspension isn't quite up to the others in the category. It kind of beats you up a little and is more tuned for on-road behavior than anything serious off-road. But we've still had a lot of fun with it today, if you can't tell by my window right here next to me. All the way around, I would say if this were $3,000 cheaper than it is now, it would be a full $5,000 cheaper than the competition from the GMC AT4 that we tested previously on the channel. And I think that's a real sweet spot, which is probably something you could actually get, because I bet you could find a Nissan dealer willing to make you a deal and come off a sticker price on one of these. Whereas with those GM twins, especially with the Colorado just winning Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, I reckon that dealers are still going to be marking those at least at sticker or above, which makes the value proposition of this pickup truck much more favorable for you, the end consumer. This is a off-road truck that is old in nature, but doesn't take itself too seriously and can be bought at a bargain, which is its real ace up its sleeve. It is a good value and a decent amount of fun. If you want to see more from us, be sure and check out our second channel, GT Premium Reviews, where you will see some more off-road action in full cinematic quality here in this pickup truck out here at Barnwell Mountain. If you want to see what Holly thinks of it and that top 5 likes and dislikes video about this very truck, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you are notified when a new video drops from us. You can find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me, in a fairly fun, great value of a mid-sized pickup truck, until next time, gearheads, bye. Buck and Bronco, let's go.